What up, girl?
Look at this fog on my glasses.
Look at the fog in your glasses, and your little autumnal flannel, and your hot tea.
It was
What you
so cold.
doing?
It was so cold today. It's
Oh my
like,
God, what is that pin?
oh,
Who
this
is
is,
she?
it's me. It's me, except like instead of lavender hair, it's like black hair. But she's got
Oh
a
my
little
God, that's amazing. Where did you get that?
Etsy.
Did you get it made for you, or is it just like,
No, no, it's not custom made. It was all it's already listed, ready to ship. But there's this fabulous um artisan. Sure, let's go with artisan. There was this fabulous artist in the UK that does like resin brooches, and
wow?
I said yes, please.
You're like, I would take two.
Yeah, you know what I love about Etsy? It is like women-owned businesses, queer-owned businesses.
Yeah.
It's people who are like passionate about doing their art, and then you can buy it, and I love that.
Yeah, and it's like a very minimal, hopeful barrier to entry for them.
Yeah. Now Etsy does take a cut, so it's not like you're buying directly from them, but it's still pretty good.
Yeah, it's as close as you can get.
Yeah, I've gotten so many stripper clothes and pasties and embellished costumes from Etsy.
So many embellished costumes.
Yeah.
Yes, every time we lived together, every time like the doorbell rang, it was something from Etsy, and it was like an embellished costume for burlesque.
Yeah. Or unembellished, and then I like to do the rhinestoning myself, but I'm not a seamstress. You heard it
Yeah,
here. You heard it here first. Eileen Galvin is not a seamstress.
breaking news.
Yeah.
Well, girl, it feels very fitting that tonight's theme is work, considering we are both wiped from said topic.
Yeah. No rest for the
Girl,
wicked.
I think about our lives now, just two career girls.
Living
I know
alone
what
in
you
the city.
I know what you career girls want.
Careers? Always back to Tuong Fu with us.
Always, always, always. Yeah. So remember when we lived together and we like thought we had careers?
Oh yeah. I mean, I think burlesque is a career. It wasn't for me, but it is a career for
I
some
was talking
people.
about our day jobs that were like a mess. That was
Yeah.
hilarious.
Well,
And now we're like,
I was canvassing, like going door to door asking people about their voting habits.
oh my God, I still can't believe you did that and survived.
I know. And it was
Get in the chat if you've ever done that because it's tireless work. It's essential work for democracy, but it's
Yeah.
ruthless.
It is the what's the word I was looking for? Like the amount of time that you can do that is very short, right? The turnover.
And like, what percentage of people just absolutely like slam the door in your face?
Oh, most of them. And if it wasn't that, because it's never like I don't really like to talk to people at my front door. You know what I mean? So can you imagine just doing that over and over and over?
Right.
Ask about something that's so personal like politics. And then people would just flat out ask me like, "Oh, are you a boy or a girl?" Like it was also traumatizing. Yeah, from like a gender identity point of view. And this was like 12 years ago. So I was not the confident woman you see before you.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Mm.
Like things we 6-year-olds know you shouldn't ask and grown ass adults.
Speaking of career woman, Kat Colorful is with us in the chat. Hi, Kat. And
Oh, speaking of career girls.
yeah, and also speaking of embellished costumes, Kat was my costuming mentor. Taught me all the tips and tricks about adhesive and rhinestones, and her costumes.
Oh my
really
God,
are
I thought you said all the tits and tricks. And I was like, first of all, tits and tricks would be a great name for an Etsy shop.
Yeah, I think it's a yes. It's a yes and moment. Like
yes, we're gonna get the yes.
if you heard it, it was meant to be.
Oh, that's fabulous. Yes. We were balancing, what we were doing? We were balancing two careers at the same time. And I think that's the thing is like, oh my God, one of my exes called comedy a hobby and they did not survive. I mean, they're alive.
They didn't make it. The relationship didn't make it. Yeah.
But no, because, it was such a priority. And I was just like, kind of explaining that art isn't a hobby And there's like levels to the types of careers and investment in yourself that you have. But I do feel like I was like, oh my God, they compared each other to like intramural soccer games. And I lost my shit.
I know, macrame.
Right. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah. Well, what do you think about the idea of hobbyism and professional versus amateur?
I don't know. I just feel like now, like, let's take the Etsy shops, right? Like, what is that? Is that a hobby? Oh, well, if I have a 501c3, or not a 501c3, oh my God, an LLC,
Yeah.
it's a business, right? And it's like, is that the piece of paper that tells us? Like, to me, if you prioritize something and you invest in something and it gives returns, and for the record, I do not mean financial returns exclusively, then that to me is a career. Like, that is part of something that is you are a professional at. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think investment is really big for me. So what level of investment are you putting into this activity or this venture? And is it the returns, is it fulfilling a need for you? So like, for instance, I don't consider performance to be a hobby because it's fulfilling a need.
Yeah.
So it's very important to me. It holds a special place in my life. What about with people in your life? When does the hobbyism turn into professionalism?
For what? Ask that question a different way.
That's yeah. Like what? What are you saying?
Like, when have I started paying my friends to hang out with me?
Yes. No, I mean, like, when is the investment worth it? When do you feel like what does it mean to get a return on your investment?
I think there's something I've been thinking about, especially with like work, and everything. One of the words, actually, this is a true story. In 2020, I set a New Year's resolution to cut the word busy from my vocabulary.
Why was that?
Because what I did, and then the pandemic hit, so that went out the fucking window. But I was so annoyed, and I noticed with my partners or with whoever, I would, or with my friends, say, if they asked me how I was, I'd start with, oh my gosh, I'm busy, but I'm good. How are you? Yeah. And it just was like, what is this busyness? And why is it almost was like, I don't have time for you, but I do. I'm going to try. And I really hate that word. And I've tried to cut it from my professional life as well, because I think it doesn't actually serve us. Because unless you're using it where you're like, I'm busy, but there's a million better ways to say that. And I think in my relationships as well, like my busyness and my stress, right? Like sometimes it just gets me swarmed up so much. I can't be present and I can't actively listen to anyone. And that's how my stress manifests when it comes to professional stuff. And that's in my relationships too. And I bring that home. So I think like going into my last relationship, exiting my last relationship rather, I really thought a lot about like, that capacity issue when it came to work, because there's always this feeling. I mean, I don't know, get in the chat, like when you're working and your partner's just like, oh, okay, why can't you do this? And I'm like, I'm working. I have a job. You know what I mean? And it's like, wait a minute. You know what I mean? Like every job is valuable, regardless of the monetary return. Unless your boss treats you like shit, then you should quit.
Yeah, I love that. I think for me, because I also have a thing with busy, and I think it's a reflex to this insecurity I have, which is like, you're not doing enough. You need to be doing more. You always need to be doing more.
Girl, let's talk about the culture of busyness. I'm feeling that so much. Like I'm feeling so unaccomplished tonight, and I don't know why. Like, let's just talk. We're not even on the show. I'm feeling so unaccomplished.
I know. Is this the theme? I think there is a time with a theme here, but have you ever had a day off where you truly do nothing?
No. No, because I'm so bad at it. And when I do it, I feel like such trash.
I have, but usually it is when I'm sick, and that's not good because
because that's not a day off.
No, I'm not doing anything because I can't do anything. But
right.
I've had days where, and to be honest, it's probably correlated with depressive swings also.
Yeah.
Because like if I'm depressed, I don't have the motivation to do as much. But I have had days, recently, because I'm on a bit of a performance sabbatical. Don't tell the press, but I'm on a bit of
that colorful is here.
Yeah,
Don't
I
tell
know.
Cat Collarbone.
No.
She's depressed. I'm just kidding. Cat
It's okay,
Collarbone.
girl. Listen, everyone. Let me just tell you, I'm on a performance sabbatical. Okay, what does that mean? I'm not at liberty to say. But no, I've had days recently where I will like the things that I'm doing are like folding the laundry and watering plants. You know what I mean? And that's like
Yeah.
it. And then the rest of the day, I'm like reading a book or I'm getting into a nice little Netflix show. Maybe picking another BL to watch because I love those, girl.
I think there is something to say about intentional rest, and I
Yeah.
think if you're sick and you've gotten to that point, obviously you should have taken a break sooner. But I don't think our culture of business really allows it. One of my friends, his husband just started a job with unlimited PTO,
Mm-hmm.
and we were talking about it. And I was like, actually, they've done studies on unlimited PTO at organizations,
Mm.
and people, particularly leaders, actually take less PTO at organizations with
Yeah.
unlimited PTO because the culture is such that they're just like, well, you're always on PTO, so you can work.
Totally.
And it's a psychological quagmire where it's like, okay, well, my organization gives me PTO, but I can't use it, right? Like and I also think that's kind of egomaniac. Like, let's just all face it. I don't know anyone who like does surgery on babies that would be watching. So if you do, just ignore this. But like, we're not saving babies here. So like, cool it. Like, you can take a day,
Yeah.
And I think like, I'm actually going to take a day this week. And I'm like, oh my God, like I have things to do and errands
American
to run.
hero.
Yeah. But like, there's this Italian market. Okay, now I'm just talking. There's this Italian market
Mm-hmm.
here that I've always wanted to go to, and I want to like make fresh pasta, and I haven't been able to go. Like, I just literally cannot get the time in my life, and I'm like taking a day off to go.
Yeah,
Pretty much.
I love that and I support that, and also I love what you said about not being able to take a day off because I think it's even worse now, at least in the field I'm in, where now I have a little bit more flexibility to work from home if I need to. And so on days when I would take a sick day, I just say, "Oh, I'm working from home."
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's like I still want to get stuff done. You can still reach me on email, but like, "Oh, I'm just going to work from home because I'm not feeling 100%." You know what I mean?
Oh my God. I like that. I tested myself like every single day for COVID a couple months ago. I absolutely had it in quarantine. Like, there's no question. You just never test positive for it. And you're like, well, or it was some terrible thing that I should have stayed home for anyways. So it's fine.
Yeah. You felt bad. Whatever it was.
Oh my God. I was so sick. So I was like, all right, I'm going to work from home. I fell asleep for like 3 hours because my body was like, no, bitch, like, you're down. You know what I mean? And like, my boss was hilarious. I texted her when I woke up and I was like, I fell asleep. She's like, because you're really sick.
Are you surprised? Like, yeah.
Right.
I ache all over and, I have this horrible headache and no energy and I fell asleep in the middle of the day. What is that? You're sick.
Right. Just WebEx me.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Like, yeah, it was really bad. But I think, relationships and careers, it's really, really interesting. So as we think about like relationships and careers, which is kind of what it's about, what I think is so interesting is I've been in so many different relationships where kind of the careers are so different and the incomes are so different.
Mm-hmm.
And do you think that kind of changes? Like, do you think there's some navigation? I know there was for me when I was younger in my 20s around like whose job means more, like, because of course, well, okay, like you're making the real money. So I guess, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, there was energy
yes, I
around
do.
that.
Yes, I do. Because when my partner and I met, if you're new to the dish, my partner is significantly older than I am. And when we first met, I was in the beginning of my career.
Significantly older. Keep us in suspense, girl.
Yeah, May-December romance. But yeah, there's a couple decades between us. And when we met, I was in grad school, and he was in the maybe entering the last quarter of his career. You know what I mean?
Right.
So like, there's a whole career span between us.
Right.
Always in very different stages in life, and so like we had to figure that out because I was feeling real inadequate. And when I got out of grad school, and I'm like a weird, artsy queer. I'm discovering my identity as trans, and so my baggage is I feel unhireable. You know what I mean? Like, I think queer people go through this a lot. They're like, well, it doesn't matter what skills I have, people are going to find out that I'm a weirdo. You know what I mean? Thankfully, that's not so much the case, especially depending on what field you go into. But yeah, now it's weird because I am like settling into my career and he's retired.
Right.
So now it's a whole completely different set of um, expectations and like these cultural roles, you know?
Right.
It's weird.
And like a huge shift, right? That's a monumental shift for any relationship to manage.
Yeah.
And I think like those phases in life, like, you know, it's interesting because while my partner and I are similar in age, but she's older. Beautiful. You know, I think the other piece of that is like, yeah, okay, we're in the same kind of ish path now. Pardon me, but that could change at any point, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some things happen naturally and some things are a little less predictable.
Yeah.
Girl.
What about this statement?
Phrase. Oh, go for it.
Oh, I was going to say, what about this statement? Relationships are work. Discuss. What do you think about that?
Yes.
What? Next question.
Anyone who says relationships aren't work is a selfish asshole.
Mm.
Who's out there being like, it's a joy all the time? You're doing it wrong.
Oh, it's effortless. It's effortless.
Right.
Now, I will say, I feel like the further that we go along in our relationship, I feel like it has gotten easier.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, Penny's gonna knock down the door. Hold on. She needs to come in. She needs to dish. Penny needs to dish.
Get her on camera. What's she up to?
Hold on. But she's looking for food. She's such a piggy pants. Hold on. Oh, no, I can't. Because I'm all plugged in. Girl!
Oh, girl. Got me on the dish cam for nothing.
Oh, now it's just me on the dish cam. No, you know what? I was going to say my phrase that I was going to say, but I will get to it.
Mm-hmm.
So relationships are work. Do you agree? Disagree.
Wait, are you saying you disagree?
No, I'm saying you agreed and you said, but the longer we're in our relationship, and then I had to go get Penny because she's the worst.
Oh. Yeah, I think the longer we've been in a relationship, it's gotten a little easier. So,
yeah, that's fair. Okay, my phrase of like the year right now is we can't have it all. So
we can't have it all. Love that.
When I first started dating my partner, I was like, I'm gonna have it all. I'm gonna be everything. I'm gonna be a leader and I'm gonna be a comedian and I'm gonna blah, 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, I was gonna have it all. I'm gonna do it all. And now like literally it was like 2 months ago now. And I like looked at them and I was just like, I can't have it all. Like, if something has to give, right? And I think with work, it's like,
absolutely, there
is something to, you know, kind of releasing that burden. But the culture of busyness is real, and it makes you feel like you're constantly family.
Yeah, totally. So not to get too dark, but it is our way on the dish. I'm
dressed for it tonight, girl. Hold on.
My capacity for different things in my life has definitely gone down. And I used to think that was just because it was a personal thing. Like I was taking it personally. Like, oh, I just can't handle as much because of whatever the reason is. Like I can't handle as much as I used to be able to. And then I realized that there are actual external reasons for it also, right?
Right.
Like long-term pandemic struggle. And then, girl, so this is the thing that's kind of like dark, but I'm going to make it funny, which is I scroll on YouTube shorts a lot because I don't have TikTok. So like YouTube does basically the same thing. I just do it on there, right? It is a perilous plunge. When you swipe to the next video, it can go from like cats that are like playing with each other to some guy on the street with a microphone going, would you date a trans woman? And just, I swear to God, this is what happened to me recently. Swipe on a cat video, get transphobia. And the horrible things that people on the street are saying in response to this question. I was just like, oh, this is why I'm not doing well. Right?
Yes. Also,
Because
not
the
that it's
legislation, the news, that
right.
wasn't bad enough. Now I go to YouTube to get a cat video, and it's right in front of my face.
I am obviously not surprised with the atrociousness of humans, but also remember that is likely staged and scripted, which I think can be a little more comforting. That it's one person's vitriol and hate.
I suppose, but that channel has come up multiple times, despite me reporting, like, I don't want to see these videos anymore. And it's like, I don't think he's not, like, finding any people that are like, oh my god, why would you ask that question? Like, I date women, and I don't, like, I date women. You know what I mean? Like, people are actually cool about it. It's all, like, the ignorant, just terrible responses.
Right.
So, that's fun.
Oh, well, that's super great.
Yeah. Travel.
We can't do it all.
What was our topic? Okay, so our topic was...
no, our topic was work, but
work.
My job is all travel.
Yeah. I think that's how we got to that.
In the pandemic, not traveling, like, it was... Well, I actually traveled a lot during the pandemic, unfortunately. But, I think... travel is such a part of my work and my life that I've developed a really strong routine around it. And I think it's actually sometimes it benefits my relationships. I think there's a detriment too, but I think like it really makes kind of what I was talking about before, where I get in those swirls and I can't really focus. Like it makes the time I do have with the people I care about, whether they're, friends or lovers or whoever, like much more valuable, and I feel much more present. Like I'll just like whatever, go see a show. I went to see a show down in Miami a couple of weeks ago, and like I was sitting alone at a table, and it was just a comedy show, and I went alone and I sat at a table and I like didn't get my phone out. And I just like listened to some people talk and listened to the comedians and overheard some hilarious shit. And there's a lot of Spanish speaking, so I didn't really know what was going on. But, like those moments of like, no, don't check your phone. Don't check your email. Like, let it go. You know what I mean? Because you have to be a little more present.
Yeah. I love going out of town to perform and staying overnight with performers. Like, that is so much fun. Because not only is it like an adult sleepover, but it's like I shift into this mode and this like, this excitement, this like inner child comes out, and it's like, it's a mode that's completely different from being at work. It's not the same communication style that I have with like my partner even. And we share this experience of being like traveling show people that is really fun. One time we stayed overnight at the green room in a bar. And so, like, after the bar closed, we all changed into our pajamas, and we were, like, hanging out at the bar.
Oh, my God.
Like, after dark. It was really
so
fun. Yeah.
But it's also, like, you bond about all the dumb shit that's happened to you on the road. And sometimes, like, the people in your life who don't do that and don't kind of dedicate themselves to something like an art form or a career that doesn't necessarily have a ton of financial return, so people don't always understand it.
Yeah.
It's nice to find those people.
Well, again, I mean, professionalism, if you're not professionalism, if you're doing something professionally, then it's like, oh, you're making a living doing this. And it's like, well, no, we're conducting ourselves with professionalism.
Right.
We're taking it seriously.
Right. We're not just like getting hammered and like not being able to perform, which,
Well, I think if you're not a performer, you might look at it and be like, they just hang out in bars and wear wigs, and it's just fun all the time. And it's like,
that is what I tell people.
You're not wrong, but also it's a lot of work.
But there's more.
Yeah, when people ask me, like, I want to get into burlesque, what should I watch out for? And I'm like, it is all packing bags and unpacking bags. That is entirely what it is.
It is the art of packing.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
You should do a number where you pack and unpack a bag.
Just pack a show bag. And and then just look for something that I thought I left at home. Do you know how many times I've been panicked backstage because I was like, I don't have my underwear, like my base pair of underwear that you layer all your costuming on top of. If you don't have that, it's a wrap. Like, go home.
That is so funny.
Yeah. Pasty glue. Oh my god, I have no pasty glue. And I'm the only burlesque performer, so no one else has a can of Elmer's spray glue in their bag. You know what I mean?
I hope not. Okay, so the number would be like you in a like super sexy robe, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And you'd be like packing everything
yeah.
and like freaking out and packing it all up. And then at the end, you would take off your robe
Mm-hmm.
and be in the full costume. And then just be like, fuck you, I'm not getting undressed. I'm too tired.
Yeah, and
This was a long show.
that was the number. Yeah, and then
Exactly.
I
And then
pack
for
up
your
my
second number,
rollerboard and
come
I just
on.
extend the handle and I just like roll off stage.
Exactly. And then for the second number, you actually come out in the outfit.
Yeah. Or I go
Sorry,
home.
what?
Or there is no second number. There.
Or I get myself some Cane's chicken fingers and I go the fuck home.
Yeah. Well, you know, the joy of saying no now is like, hey, we'd love to have you on a show, and it's totally up to you. You can do 1, 2, or 3 numbers, and I'm like, 1 will be fine, thank you.
3 numbers?
Yeah, yeah.
What?
Well,
what is happening out there? Someone tell me.
exposure.
Wait a minute. As she keels over and falls into her open grave, she says, exposure.
I did it.
Exposure will kill you.
Yeah. Thank God I did it for the exposure.
Oh my gosh.
Which is kind of
love
like
that.
a double entendre when you're taking your clothes off on stage.
It really does. That would be a great name of a burlesque club.
Exposure. Reflections.
Sounds like a strip club.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have quoted Tu Wong Fu and Bob's Burgers. I think we're doing great.
Mm-hmm.
Closing advice for those career girls out there?
Wear a suit. That's RuPaul's Masterclass, if you don't know. Wear a suit.
That's funny.
You're never never too old to make a career change. That's my advice. Yeah. Try something new. What's your advice?
There was a guy at Nationwide when I worked there who had everything monogrammed. He had his shirt monogrammed, his sleeves monogrammed, everything. I think he had a monogram tattoo underwear who was monogrammed on his shirt. He was a complete and total tool shed. And when I went to him
Tool Academy.
Because I met a new person every week the year I worked there. I committed to getting coffee with a new person every week, which is a bold choice at a giant company, but I did it. And I met him and he was like, what do you want to be? And I was like, oh, I love this and this and this and this. That's pretty much what I do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of what I've always done. And he's like, well, you have to pick a path. You have to pick one path and stick with it. And that's where I got to be. So my message is don't listen to anyone with more than one monogram on them, on any part of their body. Any part. Just
Girl.
If they have a monogram bag, that counts. Accessories count. Don't trust him.
Girl, I have something to tell you. Would you gag if I just opened up my flannel and it was just E's and G's all over my chest?
Oh my God. I would have loved that. You know what? Next time.
Next time. Yeah.
Girls, the 76th episode continues to be as joyful. I am as the first with your dad and Joseph. I love you. Please, please, please stay warm. If you are in the Midwest or North, stay warm. If you are in Florida, you're welcome. Tomorrow's high is 72. It's going to be a bit chilly. Love you, girl.
Girl, I love you. Stay safe, kids. We'll see you next Tuesday at 7 p.m. for Cover Dish.